Welcome to another episode of Content Unlimited with one of your hosts, Eddie, and then the fabulous Jamie.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our show, Content Unlimited. I'm one of your hosts. My name is Jamie. This is our happy Honduran Edmund. And
He sits down.
I sit down.
I
he
stand
stands
up. We're in the same height now.
Part of the show is that we eat and we drink and we have a lot of laugh. And today we're going to do some eating. I cooked a homemade breakfast pizza and I screwed it all up. My dog just burped really loud. And
Yeah, looks like his oven is from 1965 or something.
I don't know what happened to me. I screwed it all up. But
Yeah.
today I got vodka, Tito's vodka with pineapple orange juice, and we just threw some Bullet bourbon. Eddie, what are you drinking?
Yeah, I got some Bullet bourbon right here with a little bit of Coca-Cola, that is. And then we got a couple shots right here.
Yeah.
You want to talk about what those shots are?
Yeah, this is the Arbor 12-year-old Highland single malt Scotch whiskey, double cask matured for 12 years.
Show them the title. Yes.
And the other night I've had this for a little bit. The other night I had a glass of this and I was like, dude, we got to try this and talk about it.
I've never had it.
No.
So it's double casks. So as Jamie explained to me, it was in barrels, and then it was taken out of those barrels and put in a different set of barrels.
Sherry cask.
Yeah. So
So it should have some fruit, a little bit of sweet. It
Yeah.
should be a little more sweeter than we normally do. So.
Wow.
What do you think?
Well, I think it doesn't hit me right away,
Mhm.
but once it does, it kind of explodes. But there's some really fine flavors in there. A lot of smoke. I can taste the cherry.
Uh-huh.
It burns a little bit, but not in a bad way. But it's definitely the burn keeps increasing. I like it, and to the nose, yeah, I can smell the cherry, and it's a light smell. It kind of reminds me of Glenmorangie a little bit. But it's also a single malt Scotch from Highlands, so I guess it's the same style.
Okay. Airy. Try that. Airy.
Airy.
There you go. Now you're saying it right. Because you were saying cherry.
Oh, sherry.
There you go.
Oh,
Gosh,
the CH and the SH. Yeah, English is my second language.
So, buddy, what do you feel like talking about tonight?
Well, I want to talk about my dinner since you talked about yours.
Mm-hmm.
I got a dinner from Hy-Vee, which is a grocery store from around here. So it came with a 2-piece, but I already ate one because I was hungry. So I saved this one for the show. And we got some party potatoes, which is your shredded potatoes with cheese and sour cream and stuff that's awesome. And then there's green bean casserole, which some people may not like, but I really like it.
I do. I get that once in a while. I love their party potatoes.
Yeah, so when I came to America, I saw what they did to green beans, and I was like, man, this is so crazy. And then I realized that the way we make green beans in Honduras is also pretty crazy. We actually make scrambled eggs with green beans, and that's like super crazy for people here. But this, it's a casserole, and it's got cream of mushroom soup, and it's got onions, crispy onions on top. I thought it was the craziest thing until I had it. Then I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm definitely going to church every Sunday.
But the one thing that nobody knows, they know that you came from Honduras. We've said that a few times on the Whisketeers. We might have hinted to it when we call you the Happy Honduran.
Mm-hmm.
How old were you when you came to the country?
I came here when I was about 10 and a half, almost 11. It was 1992. It was almost winter, and it was a fairly new thing for me. I'd never seen snow, and we live in
shit.
Dude, craziest thing. I didn't think it was going to feel the way it felt when I first felt it.
What do you think it feel like?
I don't know. For some reason, I didn't think it was be as cold. It was freezing cold.
Did they explain that to you when they brought you and they said, hey, there's going to be snow?
And I knew it was going to get cold, but I just didn't know it was going to be this cold.
Now, Honduras has mountains. That you never saw it there or from a distance or what?
Well, no, I've never seen snow, but I mean, there's a mountainous area where it's cold and it's like 50 to 60 degrees. You have to wear a coat, but it wasn't that bad. I mean, you know, the sun's still close to the equator, so you still got plenty of sun. But over here in Iowa, it's just like it's freezing cold sometimes. So that was new, to watch your breath just.
Like your car won't even start.
Yeah, and you're just like sitting there, just. But now I'm used to it. I mean, I think I like the colder weather better than the hot weather when we're talking about extremes.
What was your biggest culture shock that you had when you came here, besides the cold?
Well, I think speaking English. Usually when people, my culture, they usually go to a place where there's other Spanish speakers. There were not a lot of Spanish speakers in Iowa, so I had to learn the English language pretty fast. And when I mean fast, it was like 2.5 years. So, and obviously there's help. There's ESL, which is English is my second language. It's a program in schools, but you get what you get out of it. I mean, if you try, you're gonna learn it. If you don't, the biggest thing was like I used to come home and watch Full House and all these shows, and then I would like, even though I was learning English in school, I was also learning English at home while we were watching these shows. I didn't know what the hell they were talking about half the time, but hey, I knew they were gonna hug at the end.
So, what was something that when you were finally out, you got to go out and you were by yourself and you were like, really just like blew your mind when you were in the U.S. finally? Besides the language, besides food, what was something that Americans do that is like, what is this? Why are they doing that?
Well, I just thought it was crazy. Like when I would go to the mall and people were hanging out, it's like kids would hang out with their friends by themselves. Their parents were not around. And they would be able to just make noise and just cause chaos. And other adults were just like, okay, we let some of this stuff go. But it's like, I didn't understand it, but they were part of the economy. It's like, it was cool for kids to come to the mall and spend time because they were there to spend money.
In the 90s.
And then everybody, in the 90s, early 90s. And to let people just kind of act a little bit chaotic,
They were mall rats.
They were mall rats. Hang out at the mall, hang out outside the mall, go to the movies. Do something!
I did that.
Outside the house.
No, in 92, I was a junior in high school.
Oh, shit.
I was one of those guys.
We have a street called First Avenue here, and people used to cruise.
Oh, yeah.
Early in the
I was doing that when you were.
And before that, people used to race and everything back in the 70s, but it was cruising on a Friday night, and you just go out. This road is like, I don't know, I would say like 5-6 miles long, and you just cruise with your friends, and you have meeting areas where you meet with your friends and just kind of conjugate, and obviously get into trouble. And that was kind of new for me.
You sit around.
It's just
somebody
like the
had a
movies.
good stereo.
It's just like the movies. Like when I grew up in Honduras, you watch American movies and you're like, all kids are actually rolling on their cars and they meet and they cause trouble. Well, that actually did happen, and I'm like, oh, this is for real. It's a real thing.
I remember probably about the time you were coming in the country, I had my driver's license right then. I'll never forget cruising the Ave, and then you'd finally. Oh, you always thought you had a big fast motor or something, so you'd stop at the red light and you'd rev it up, and the guy next to you'd be like, all right.
We're gonna rev it.
Boom! And the green light would go, and this first one to the next light. Whatever, it was never for anything real, but then you'd pull over. If there's an empty parking lot, you'd stop and you'd talk, like, hey, what do you got?
What do you got? Yeah.
It wasn't bad, or you'd talk, or maybe you'd almost get into a fight and your girlfriend would hold you back. No, it's not worth it. Whatever, it's stupid. But, or else you'd sit around the parking lot and you just were talking about, like, whatever's happening.
That was networking.
Yeah, that was networking.
You were
and
getting
then
to
the
know
cops
people.
would come by and go, what's going on? You got permission
What's
to be
going on?
here?
You got permission to be here?
Wait.
You know who owns this parking lot? Huh?
Sometimes it was just like...
Not really. It's just making noise. And
you're talking, you're swearing.
Yeah.
You're maybe talking real loud, playing music kind of loud, but it wasn't...
It's like there's a lot of places where you conjugate and people would check out your stuff and they kind of follow you around and, steal from you when they figure out where you live or where you hang out.
Yeah. I remember, I just bought an Alpine deck. And Alpine was like, that green glow was like... It was the best, If you were going to be a superhero... Who would you pick?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think I want to be Superman, just smarter.
Why do you say smarter?
Because he's always doing just dumb stuff. Like, if you know, it's like he's always having this internal thing where he would take kryptonite on purpose, so he would decrease his own power so he could be human again, or human period, and just live that experience. But I'm like, and then he would gain the power just to bully the people that were bullying him. I'm talking about the old Superman movies, not young.
Superman 2.
Yeah, we're talking about like with them. And,
okay, so let me pose this question to you.
Okay, pose this.
You're Superman.
Mm-hmm.
You are basically indestructible. You're
Yeah.
gonna outlive all of your friends.
Mm-hmm.
You're in Metropolis and you're with Lois Lane.
Mm-hmm.
And you can hear, with your super hearing, a boy drowning in India.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing. And then you can hear a boy in Zimbabwe
Mm-hmm.
being tortured and killed.
Mm-hmm.
And then in Australia,
Mm-hmm.
another boy falls. And he's falling to his death. And you're like,
What do I do?
I can't be everywhere all at once, but I can
No.
hear it all.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want to spend time with the woman that I love. and
This
that
is
loves
where-
me. That's the Superman dilemma.
That's the Superman. That's the struggle of being Superman. But
And
the
then,
thing-
and then,
but
and
see-
then when
but
he
see-
saves somebody, they're like, well, yeah, you saved me, but my arm is broken.
yeah.
Great job, Superman, you jerk. So, like, what is he supposed to do?
Holy crap, dude! You're going crazy on this. But see, what I'm thinking about is like there's Lex Luthor, and he's trying to take over the world just like any other villain, and yet Superman can take over the world and make things right. He can make people do the right thing,
I want you to hold on.
and
What
yet
you're saying it right now.
yeah,
Make them do
make
the right
them
thing.
do their thing.
There was a time before Superman when Lex Luthor was the smartest man in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Lex Luthor was Superman, but in all intents and purposes, he wasn't as strong, he wasn't as powerful, he didn't have all these gifts,
Mm-hmm.
but he had a genius intellect, and he was doing everything correctly. And then all of a sudden comes this Boy Scout with all the superpowers, and he's no longer number one in the world. He's now number two, and he can't stand that. That's Lex Luthor's dilemma. Lex Luthor, in his eyes, isn't the bad guy. He's the guy that says, when he goes down, when he turns, and he's making us submit to him because none of us can control him, it's up to me to stop him.
Yeah.
And I'm going to bring peace to the universe and to the planet.
To the planet.
You might look at Lex Luthor as a bad guy, but he's actually one of our last saviors.
And that's so funny that Superman's looked upon a savior. I mean, I know I'm going to talk about Marvel, but it's the same thing as like the Vision. The Vision was talking to what's his name at the end of the movie, Voltron, and then Voltron was like, dude, you can't save them. It's like he basically said, hey, they're eventually just going to destroy themselves. And then he said, well, something isn't beautiful because it lasts. And to me, that's like
Who said that?
That's the Vision said. The Vision said, humanity, it's beautiful because it will not last. But I'm like, if you're Superman, you're gonna be around till you let free will take over, and then there's complete destruction, and the earth will be nothing, and it will eventually turn into a desert, and everything dies, and you're the only guy left. What are you gonna do? You know this future is coming, so you're trying to save this and that, and just you're trying to be selective into what a superhero is. Why would you not try to collectively say,
Continue.
yeah,
Let humanity
but he
go
knows
on
he's
its own
going
path.
to be alone forever after these 200-300
Well,
years.
Superman may not be immortal.
Yeah,
He has like a 10 times longer lifespan.
yeah, but he's gonna be around.
He'll be around.